powerful being or entity like Raven, for example, imagine somebody being so powerful and can control your emotions, not only with psionic manipulation or going in your head, telepathy type stuff, but also empathic type stuff where she can literally change how you feel, like literal feelings. Accidentally making Flash and Nightwing fall in love with her. She's very kind. She can also force you to feel fear. She can make your pain her own. Make Starfire and Flash fight each other. Starfire love me. Force you to feel happy, doubt in oneself. It's one way to blast you or punch you and make you feel pain, but just literally making you feel pain. One could say this is a form of durability negation because she doesn't actually have to physically harm you to make you feel pain. Messed up Cyborg this way, messed up Kid Flash this way, messed up all the Titans this way when she was going berserk, forever messing up the Titans, which you're going to see later on in this video as well, consistently messing them up. In the DC universe, there's like almost every religion you can think of. There's cults, higher dimensional entities. So there was this girl that joined this cult to summon the actual devil, supposedly, but didn't end up summoning the devil, but somebody else. They summoned this being known as Trigon, is the demon they summoned instead. She was used as a host for Trigon's seed, a mother to the devil's offspring. Even Trigon longed for a family to rule the world by his side. Impregnated with the devil's child. The baby was growing quickly. She couldn't even commit suicide peacefully. That's when she was brought to Azarath, a dimension of peace and spirituality, to hide from Trigon with a new name so that Trigon would not find her. Finding a different family that's not her own. Their kindness and love almost made the pain of the pregnancy tolerable. Months later, that's when Raven was born. A lot of these things were set in motion for her to never give in to her darker side, different emotions, because of how much of a threat she is, thanks to the genetics of her father and stuff of that such. She wasn't allowed to express feelings, and feeling nothing was the best bet, apparently. I mean, her father is like literally a Team Buster type character, and eventually she even got hatred for him, so that kind of makes sense. Well, that's Raven's beginnings. I mean, she just destined to be a threat because she was destined to follow in Trigon's footsteps. And eventually even Trigon took her over at times. She actually got her body vaporized, and that's when she was kind of free of her corrupted shell. All kinds of mythos like that when it comes to Raven. How strong is she? Let's get it. I mean, you know you're strong is when, even if Trigon's not here no more, the seeds of his demon children still live, and Raven is a part of that lore like that, which is part of the reason why she's so powerful, which you're going to see in this same video. Look at her appearance, you know, stuff like that. In new lore, she still has heavy lore with Trigon still. It's just always going to be a reoccurring thing. She's had different forms throughout her adventures, which is why you're going to see her appearance change a lot during this video to display her different levels of power. A lot of the times, her own enemy is her own psyche of accepting who she is or what she doesn't want to be. Yes, in even newer continuity, she has forms where she kind of looks like Trigon, red skin, 4 eyes, just to further insinuate her darker side of her heritage. The ability to absorb, which can increase her power to make her jump tiers, like the unkindness possible future state she can possibly get in canon if she allowed herself to embrace the darkness, infusing with the Horseman of Apocalypse, then getting her power siphoned in Shazam, getting this look to where she got like a Shazam, Trigon, 4 eyes look, and then she evolves, gets power-ups over the centuries, years, to absorb universes and timelines, to where she gets this super overpowered state that can take on all your favorite heroes and one-shot them, which I'm going to talk about later on in this same video to show her potential. A million years from now, end of all creation type of stuff. Her full potential is kind of scary. I'll talk about that later, but they pretty much talk about how in a possible future, how she was possessed by the 4 horsemen, turned her evil, then was placed into the Rock of Eternity, started messes up all types of timelines and universes and all that good stuff. But yeah, let's not focus on that right now. I mean, when you think about it, her blast power can just burn you or blast you into skeleton. And when it comes to matter manipulation of being able to change matter, she can do stuff like that too. Kind of like how Firestorm does. Like her just entering another dimension accidentally fuses beings or creatures together, fusing them together, creating new species by accident. She can cool beings down after they've been heated up. All of this stuff kind of stems from her using her soul self. Her soul self has a lot of different abilities to be able to cool beings off like this, or transmute you to torture you. Thanks to this, Raven was born and ended up getting a whole bunch of plethora of powers. Empath, soul self-manipulation, like a bird-like image that is her inner strength, possesses all her powers and more. It can surround a foe and force him to see his own worst fears, that kind of thing. But I'm going to get into all of that in 2 seconds. She's technically considered one could say the spookier member of the Teen Titans and stuff, but she's very, very mighty. One thing you're going to see a lot is her using her soul self a lot. It's really simple when it comes to her soul self. Physical body, her using her soul self. You can see like the literal outline of it. Most of her reasoning on why she's a threat is because of this soul self. There was a time where her soul self being a part of her for 5 minutes was like a danger to her. She just spams it nowadays. Her soul self is what makes her seem so mystical, but it's really just the soul self being able to do versatile amounts of stuff. And when I say versatile amounts of stuff, I'm talking about extremely versatile. Not to mention, she was one of the few beings in Azarath. She kind of is the only one that got rid of the weakness of having her soul, self, and body separated for an extended amount of time. She can just kind of do it better than others expected. Raven is so complex, there are times where she even has conversations with her soul self, apparently. I mean, you might as well say she has super strength. I mean, she can kind of like physically hit you physically with her energy projective soul self type of stuff anyway. So does her muscle strength actually ever matter? She's not afraid of swallowing you up with her soul self. Right here, she looks like a giant avatar soul self, not afraid to just wrap you up. Her soul self makes her extremely versatile. She's using it to save her teammates if she needs. Lasers that make Starfire sleepy, her soul self can still endure it because it's useless. And bulletproof. Like, why would you even think? Of course it can shield her from stuff. It seems to be resistant to a lot of different things, even being resistant to fire. There was this citywide destruction going on. Yes, you guessed it. Of course, Raven can shield from all this rumbling and BS that was going on with the city. To get more of a deeper understanding of the soul self and why it's such a big part of her and everything she does, strength, speed is part of this. It's because her soul inhabits the space separating our Earth and the 11 worlds of the afterlife. 11. Well, I've managed to count 11. Heaven and purgatory and the 9 levels of hell. Something has exploited the crack, blah, blah, blah. Doorway on how it looks, like 2 different things. Because of this, if you're just jacked up, she can just send you away to another dimension to where you're basically just battlefield removed and you got to suffer now wherever you're at. The good thing about her and her soul self is that even if her physical body gets knocked out, her soul self contains her consciousness. So that means even if her body's knocked out, her soul self can still act accordingly and still fight you. So you haven't won the fight just because you knocked her out. Her soul self can still fight you. If she wants company, you can even get brought into her soul self. Yeah, and this is how it looks, like a literal safe place, like her soul self safe place, like to talk privately, like, bro, that's crazy. Or she can use her soul self stuff to play like a horror movie cosplay to where it's just like straight scary, to do stuff like this. She's never been shy of blasting away armies using her soul self offensively. It's just destructive raw power. Raven is one of those characters where she can do a lot of that soul self stuff, but she can also do straight up normal spell casting magician type stuff. Like on some straight up magician type stuff, not just demon-ish type stuff. You got occasions like this that imply it. The way she looks here with the way this spell looks, or the way the energy projection looks. They even narrate that she's a half-demon sorceress magic user, basically. More proof right here is that they call her a magic user. They even call her witchy, like witchiness. These occasions, you can clearly see her using her power that's not necessarily spamming her soul self stuff. But then you got occasions like this when you can clearly tell she's using her soul self. It's still something worth noting that she is superhuman still. Like, it's funny seeing her actually using combos on folks. Or one could say even going as far as using kicks. It's shown that, yeah, it's not the thing she specializes in, but she's still strong enough to smash you through concrete if she needs to. Drawing blood from this character known as Envy with the strikes, doing melee kicks or strikes. Like, look what she did to the environment. You know she's not normal human strength. She's one of those characters you don't want to make mad or she'll just choke you out. See her looking bigger and more intimidating looking, picking you up with one arm, resembling Trigon a little more. She stuck Beast Boy this one time. Heck, in this particular occasion, it was stated that her physical strength was on par with Donna Troy, who's a Wonder Woman-esque type of being. Watch my Donna Troy video to get an understanding that she's a legit powerhouse. That's a big statement for Raven's strength in this particular occasion. She has handy techniques like telekinesis. Her blast power is what I would say she would specialize in, if I'm being honest. Energy projection type stuff. When it comes to her destructive nature, she can blast and mess up all her brothers with energy projection because she's better. Sleep time. One can say this is a hack, one of her versatile abilities, and she can use your hatred to blast you with unimaginable power against you. Make it make sense. She converted Brother Blood's hatred to blast the Teen Titans and made them all sleepy. Just the energy she was emitting was able to do this to Donna Troy, a Wonder Woman-esque type being. She even made like a little energy avatar construct of her father. In this occasion, she literally has the raw power to restrain very strong beings like this, Donna Troy, Flash level characters, Beast Boy, Starfire. Cyborg isn't a weakling either, and she's restraining them all. You can see her blast power here, sending all the Titans flying. In a way, she kind of reminds me of a Hulk-type character. The more her emotions get out of control, she can get unpredictable and be a ridiculous threat. Like here, she blasts Starfire aside with her telekinetic blast. Characters like Aqualad not only knocking him back, but actually making him sleepy with her blast. When it comes to her blast power, she's not afraid to straight up slice big creatures like this up when she's helping characters like Shazam is. You can see her doing her power to slice them like that. And convenient splice of life stuff like saving people like this with her energy projection, telekinesis, whatever you want to look at it like. We've seen her always use telekinesis, or one could say blast power in some sorts, to blast or lift you up and shield you at the same time. She's like that. One could argue that she can use her soul self for telekinesis, or she could just straight up use magical type Dr. Fate type spells to lift up stuff as well if she wants. She's one of those characters, if you attack her, you gotta worry about her looking like this and punching you like normal because she has superhuman strength. But then you gotta worry about her telekinetic blast power to blast you from far away or near you, doesn't matter where you're at. And then you gotta worry about her cloaking herself in her soul self to add extra durability and speed and everything. Soul self is something you're gonna hear me bring up over and over in this vid, so just get used to it. I mean, her threat level and destructive power in general, before I get to all that soul self, speed and everything, is just straight up stated that her power unchecked could destroy the universe if uncontrolled. Thanks to her being so closely related to Trigon, he's a universe conquering, multiverse conquering type of being. She has the genetics of him, so it makes sense that her forces will be great enough to destroy a universe, right? Technically. And yes, she can planet bust for anybody wondering. Planet busting might be an oversimplification considering statements like this of her being able to turn the heavens to ashes, destroy planets, consume fire and air, to really understand her power. The powerhouses of DC. Well, you already know the powerhouses in DC are planet buster, star buster, galaxy shattering type of characters that she can escape his construct, even hurt him with her abilities, a mix of her soul self, hacks, and all her stuff combined. Kryptonian level beings even stated how impressive her soul self is. I mean, look how she blasted Supergirl like this with her soul self with her raw power. Black Adam, somebody that's definitely Superman-esque or range or tier, she was able to do this to Mr. Adam himself just like that temporarily, which was absurd. We've seen her overpower Starfire, freaking knocks out Kid Devil because she's that mighty. And you guessed it, she's even knocked out a future version of herself. It seems like writers love putting her against herself because they know she's powerful, right? Because it happened in newer stuff too. She had to prove her might with rage, blast power, and everything. When she touched her friends, she showed off that another her ain't exempt from getting blasted, eventually overwhelming her when it's all said and done. Even take on Superman level beings with the soul self. She was able to do this to a freaking Mongol in more newer-ish type stuff. Beings like Neuron, overpowered demon overlords that do this to characters like Shazam who are Superman-esque. She's mighty enough with her abilities to make him let them go. She even goes as far as stating, yes, one more powerful than you could ever hope to be, making shields to protect herself too. Even threatening saying, I will remove the bonds holding your sorry atoms together. She's always been one of those type of characters where she can shield herself along with others, shielding from all this BS. She'll just shield from it, even straight up using magical type spells like on some Dr. Fate, Dr. Strange type stuff to shield other stuff, protecting all the Titans with her shielding, while also altering the residual blast direction. Raven looks cool like this. She can do a lot of the same abilities like soul self stuff. It's literally stated here, she can sheath herself and others with her ability, which is somebody that's a must to have on the team. Literally fusing with Superboy technically to become like a super powered up being. Confirmed here, cloaking with her power. Blue skin and all. Even the newer stuff she's implied to be a powerhouse, even against Kryptonian tiers. No matter how you look at it, she's just not easy to manhandle. Like you see her countering attacks like this. She even says, Kryptonian, I'm the firstborn daughter of Trigon. You can't hurt me, boy. Just completely avoiding everything from him. Throughout comics, Raven's battles do vary because of the different circumstances and why she looks different, has different states, like resembling Trigon sometimes, embracing the darkness, fighting against the darkness, conflict with herself, denying who she is, which is why sometimes powerhouses can compete and sometimes she might just surpass them. And there's even times where she can even reach her father's level of power, Trigon, who's literally just a cosmic being on some cosmic status. At her peak of powers, no matter which continuity we're talking about, if the situation arises, she can get to the levels where even characters like Trigon will mess her up. Fun DC and Marvel crossovers, which I don't take as Bible, but this is fun to see, so I'm gonna show it anyway. Raven's powers compared to Phoenix. This is fun, but don't take it too seriously, but it's still cool to see. Implied that if she was in Marvel, she would be a match for Dark Phoenix at her higher ends of power. Raven versus Dark Phoenix for Marvel. Fun crossover stuff. You gotta love it. So if there was a grid, is this what they're trying to imply how the grid will look? Her being comparable to Dark Phoenix, but not necessarily up there with her mightiest form. But take that with a grain of salt. That's just me, you know? Something to think about, right? Telekinesis or blast power to do stuff like this to a large group, more than one occasion, dominating them with blasting out of her way. Anybody that can reach Trigon levels or surpass it is just scary to think about. She's right here, and Trigon's right here. Entities that are minions are not as strong as Raven. We've seen her blast back Swamp Thing, somebody that's extremely powerful, and I have a video about on the channel. In Dark Crisis, we literally see her entangled with the Spectre, aka God's Wrath, for an extended amount of time. Like in all these fights, you can see her in the background, getting in an extended fight with the Spectre himself, that's being possessed, of course, along with being able to change her size to fit the scenario as well. But there was implications that Spectre could beat her one-on-one, even though she was hanging in there by herself for a bit. I don't give a crap, bruh. If you can hang with Spectre at 1%, bruh, that's ridiculous. But she ended up getting some assistance during this occasion with Spectre. But with teamwork, beings helping Raven out, they help assist each other in trapping them like this. With her energy projection, this is still ridiculously impressive. How many characters you know can do like a temporary beam struggle with the Spectre like this? This would automatically give her some conceptual level blast power type stuff. I mean, since Spectre is literally a being that could exist above space and time. I mean, we're talking about a being that used to be in Lucifer's army and shrug off hits from Superman and in pre-crisis days. Even when Kryptonians or Superman charge at Spectre with full speed, they bounce off of him like a baseball. This is how they explain Superman's speed that rammed into him, but it didn't matter. They called him a collision with reality. The Spectre is a being whose power was considered limitless, and a being that can get so big that his eyes are 23 light years across or apart. This is the being that Raven was boxing it out with. A being that can get as large as the very universe itself. And you telling me this the kind of being Raven just boxing it out with? Bruh, this is absurd. Her durability, like without any shielding, is not really what she specializes in, but it's pretty decent too. But at the same time, it's also kind of irrelevant because she has so many different ways to give defense to herself or shielding soul self. So it's like a lot of ways to defend herself. So it kind of just makes her durability better. Or one could say she can amp up her durability. Explosive arrows ain't going to necessarily cut it. I find it funny how she's low-key trolling, saying, why did he throw an atomic bomb at me? I mean, she can't be a glass cannon when she's gotten hit by Trigon before. She was hurt real bad, but she did survive, so that's cool. She's been tortured before for 2 weeks where their weaknesses, illnesses go into her, so she has to suffer it and stuff. Her durability in general is just better because even beings that can just melt humans like nothing, she just simply says, I will not permit you to hurt me. She can technically teleport, so her speed kind of is irrelevant. She can like teleport away in the split second to avoid attacks that way, so that comes in handy. Vanishes in a cloud of smoke. Trigon barely notices in split instant. One could say this is avoidance speed or combat speed to evade so fast to where you can avoid attacks during combat. Reacting to Starfire. And then when it comes to Roth speed, she's decent when it comes to this. At least superhuman in that. To be able to dodge attacks from Starfire. Someone that's also superhumanly fast. And the same from attacks from characters like Cyborgs, cannons she can dodge. Because she's quicker than you would expect. You can tell when she wants to show off her real speed, when she pulls out of her soul self to increase her speed like crazy. Like her astral image slipped past Green Lantern beam when it comes to her speed. That's how it looks in comics. It looks like an actual bird, soul self, crossing 1,000 miles within minutes because of raw speed. You can see her here dodging a blast just straight up without necessarily using no soul self, or just straight up avoiding all this BS. When you can use teleportation in combat or teleport large distances, who needs raw flight speed? Because in Raven's case, it seems like she doesn't really need to fly anywhere technically. Due to her nature, mystical nature, thanks to her father, she can traverse dimensions as easily as you stumble across a street. That's how easy it is for her. It's kind of not really teleporting because she just moves between dimensions. It's kind of still the same concept, taking a shortcut to get there faster. So, you know, this is just an oversimplification. She can teleport the distance very far away. Any place on the earth can be instantly reached, as far as distant China or as close as her private tower. Thanks to her being able to teleport at will and use it in combat, she can kind of do stuff even on the level of a speedster. She even stated, by shifting through dimensions, it will bring her there instantly. Notice how she's there just like how the Flash just got there. He talking about, I'll meet you there, and Raven was there too, even though this was just casual, you know, speed. Right. Instant teleportation. She can not only teleport herself, but teleport others alongside her. She can kind of resist others trying to teleport her away because she can counter it back. And my favorite part is when she uses her teleportation in combat, kind of like a form of combat speed, one could say. Like, you can literally see her avoiding attacks via teleportation. Or just teleport 2 helicopters to each other. That's ludicrous. She's the ultimate person when it comes to improvising battlefield removal, saving people from crazy bombs, because she can put the bomb somewhere else, like a literal another dimension. That comes in handy. She can even teleport herself or others to a point that's neither dead or alive. like a convergence point, the crossroad, placed between the alive and the dead. Hey Flash, you wanna go meet the Spectre? I'm gonna teleport you to meet him. Have fun. She's a teleporter that can teleport to spiritual type places, something other teleporters couldn't necessarily do. She can do telepathic type stuff like reading minds, straight up give you nightmares, take information from your subconscious if needed. She can shield from godlike telepathy, a psionic attack on the scale that rivals the power of Trigon. All these minds winking out one by one. And guess who's able to shield from all this Trigon level psionic attack power, telepathic power. It was to the point even Raven said she couldn't protect them for long though. And this is what she was protecting the Titans from, so they won't be controlled this bad. Project thoughts into minds. Simply taking control of her mind when she's especially going berserk ain't going to necessarily cut it, because naturally she's a telepathic type being and has resistances of herself and defenses. If her teammates are in nightmares, like the Titans for example, she can be the one to free them. If your big plan is to mind control the heroes and she's nearby, then you might want to find a new plan. And if you're real weak to telepathic type stuff and she can't fight you physically, she can just say, hey, just go to sleep. In certain situations, she can even probe characters like Trigon. Somebody like that's way too overpowered, but this was during his weakened state though, that should be noted. In this particular scan, they had her looking different to know whether you are in a mindscape mental type of thing. I will admit though, I like her look like this with little dreads and stuff, always clash with her father Trigon and stuff. She's so scary because of her Hexy type abilities, because she can do soul manipulation type stuff, like stuff that you can't necessarily defend against all the time if you're not ready for it. A lot of this is her soul self doing Hexy soul manipulation type stuff. She even got the W on Starfire because her soul has a life of its own. She has insane healing ability because there's too many times of her helping beings from injuries, whether it be her allies or whoever, she can heal them right up after a very tough battle. I mean, she can just eat your emotions or eat your anger, so that helps. She can't be a Hexy type character without having some type of time manipulation, like putting you in a time stasis, bruh. Are you serious? While also doing illusions, or psionic beings always do this, being able to see into the future or having a premonition. She can technically jump tiers because if she embraces her dark side, she can do some crazy about the famous possible future of what she turns into this multiversal entity threat that can end everything, known as the Unkindness Raven. You can see like little early stages of it here, for example. Like you can see how the thing on her chest is not as golden looking right here. Like you can see it's like an early stage look of it, you know what I mean? Or different artists' interpretation of it. One can say at her fullest potential, possible future that's totally actually pretty decently canon to what she could possibly do. Some call this future state Raven, or one can say unkindness Raven. This is a form she does not want to achieve because this is where she just fully embraces the darkness and just starts wreaking havoc in the future, consuming timelines, and quite obviously just straight mayhem. One of her most busted abilities when it was fighting the 4 Horsemen of Apocalypse, she had to use her Hexy type of abilities to kind of extract them from their hosts. But even this took its toll because she thought she could control them harder than she expected. Heck, even made her attack her teammates out of the blue, and everybody was like, what are you doing? It's the unkindness. That's when it was the best bet to conceal her in the Rock of Eternity. Raven been chilling with these demons down here, forging an alliance with them, to the point Neuron's literally bowing to her. I mean, we're not going to ignore the fact that Neuron helped channel the power of Shazam within Unkindness Raven to amp her even more. You know, Shazam's like a Superman-ish type being, making a pact with devils, fusing with the 4 Horsemen of Apocalypse, then getting the powers of Shazam all with her is how she gets to this busted, overpowered state. I mean, look at the Shazam logo. The more she terrorizes, it seems the more she gets stronger, because even in possible futures, like way in the future, 853rd century type future, when technology and superheroes have improved, there's a ton of legacy type characters that exist now. Technology's on another level. Superman Prime 1 million, the Superman that's been sun dipped for a long time, the Golden Superman with a Green Lantern ring exists in this timeline, which is basically the Superman we love, but just went sun dipping and chilled in the sun and became godlike. And thanks to unkindness consuming every plane of existence, she's gotten another state, as it seems, led by the 7 deadly sins and accompanied by the last lords of chaos. She literally pulls up on this overpowered Superman. And the minions of this Raven can take him on by themselves. Well, of course, it's like they're teaming up on him still. They broke his body and his will. Yeah, and on to the next, basically, after they defeated him. Other Superman-type characters even said, Superman promised everything he's dreaming to be, and he didn't even stand a chance. Yeah, it's like a hopeless horror movie type stuff. They even talk about it here saying, whatever that is, it destroyed the most powerful hero and the most formidable army in seconds. They even say that the whole universe depends on their survival when her minions and her pull up here, coming to consume and get more power on top of her ridiculous power already. Like, just imagine how much power she's acquiring by consuming plane by plane. You know, each plane of DC has ridiculously powerful beings, gods, magic users. Think about that. All them different timelines she's absorbing into her to increase her raw power, which is why she's getting stronger as the more she consumes. Having the power to grow is bigger than planets and crap. Even beings that reside outside of time, at the vanishing point, beings that are technically time travelers, thought they were safe outside of the time stream, but not even they're safe. She can destroy planets with a breath. Once again stated, absorbing everything around her. She's even messing up places that are outside of the concept of time, like the Speed Force wall. Like, there's only one Speed Force wall, and all this Speed Force stuff is going into all these different universes to empower different speedsters, and she destroyed this crap. Even busted up New Genesis, which is also outside of space and time. Same with Skyland, which is also out here. She was so mighty, the Quintessence were hiding away from her. The Spectre, the Wrath of the Almighty, the Wizard, and everybody said, we're going to use this place as a safe haven and kind of wait until the unkindness is finished destroying the universe. Precisely. Like, we about to wait out because we not about to fight her. Even the other heroes were mad at them, saying, you can't just sit here and do nothing. But yes, that's what they trying to do, because they're not trying to scrap it out with unkindness Raven. They pretty much said, we not fighting her. We just going to wait until she's done, and then we're going to repair the universe and reshape it, bring order where there is chaos. And that's when they're pretty much talking for the fans, saying another reboot. That's funny. And while they're talking about all this BS on what they plan on doing with unkindness, she starts to warp out of existence because she's consuming timelines as they speak. Because as they're talking about what their plan is, unkindness is consuming a part of her timeline as they speak. And she's gone too. Imagine all these timelines with powerful heroes that are not weak and Kryptonian Superman level being literally consumed and feasted upon by unkindness, absorbing parts of timelines. Unkindness is. They pretty much act like there's nothing they can do to stop the unkindness from destroying this universe. In fact, it was getting so bad where everybody just had to freaking retreat after a while against her. Like, they had to find a way to prevent her from ever doing this in a possible future like this. They had to go back in time travel stuff, you know. You know she's strong when Superman-esque beings like Black Adam try to pull up on him. She says, get out my face. Yeah, so she was basically unstoppable like this. That's why you see in the comic 2021 time travel type stuff. It's hard to imagine a version of Raven being up there with cosmic beings that can split apart multiverses like it ain't nothing, or hold multiverses in their hands, but that's how she was. If anybody can break apart the Speed Force wall itself, you know they have to be insanity. That's unkindness for you. This is a power level she's not just chilling at all the time, or else how would you even write a story around her? She would just be one-shotting everything in the book. You know what I mean? So obviously she's not like this all the time. Base Raven is already a powerhouse tier, then you add on top of the 4 Horsemen of Apocalypse, thinking she can consume them and hold them in place, but they actually corrupted her. Then working with Neron and the power siphon of Shazam inside of her, which leads to this form. But then after absorbing countless timelines and universes, after being powered up like this on top of it, she becomes like this, which just freaking gets scary. Cosmic being above pretty much a lot of cosmic beings' status. But I say again, this is not a power level she's always at. Regardless of it, she's still ridiculously powerful, no matter how you look at her, even in her base state. But even if she's not like this all the time, there is implications that she has some type of form or transformation like this, like the early stages of it before she absorbs all the bull crap, she can get like this. But even in her base state, she went from being able to slug it with Spectre for a little bit, but not being able to beat him one-on-one power level, which is still impressive, regardless of how you look at it. But then she went from fighting him one-on-one and struggling to, in a possible future, the Spectre was hiding out from her. Here they pretty much talk about how they wanted to wait it out. The Spectre is one of these beings in the Quintessence that agreed with this method of just letting unkindness destroy everything in their path so she can get it all out of her system, because they ain't want no smoke from her to fight. Like in her in this state, she actually is her past Spectre, with this version of Spectre, like this. But even in base, she still can, to some degree, box it out with him a little bit. You know, still respectable, right? There's really no choice but to respect Raven, though. You probably didn't know Raven was this busted. Because if we're being honest, she's portrayed powerful in media. She honestly just doesn't get the screen time she needs, though. And we live in a day and age where if somebody doesn't have screen time, they're instantly weak in people's eyes. Hopefully this video can open your eyes and make you beg to differ and actually get a second thought about her might. Anybody that has the genetics of Trigon should not be slept on. But before I get going, gotta say a quick thank you for those that have donated to the channel. Helps out a lot. Respect Raven. I'm glad you are enjoying your time on the channel. Make sure you check out the playlist on the channel to see other How Strong videos. If you like what this channel is offering, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys later.